You know what's happening right now as you're watching this? Somewhere in the heartland of America, someone is standing in front of what looks like a barn. But here's the thing, it's not. They press their palm against a wall of glass that stretches 2 stories high, and as the sun hits it just right, they realize they're not looking at farmland architecture anymore. They're looking at the future. And that future? It's wrapped in steel, crowned with a metal roof, and somehow, impossibly, it feels like coming home. This is the glass front modern barndominium. And if you think you know what that means, I promise you don't. Not yet. Let me ask you something. When did we decide that luxury meant marble columns and crystal chandeliers? When did we agree that modern meant cold, sterile boxes with no soul? And more importantly, when did we forget that the most beautiful things in life are the ones that shouldn't exist together, but somehow do? Because that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about taking the rugged, honest bones of a barn, that symbol of American grit and simplicity, and we're marrying it to floor-to-ceiling glass that would make a Manhattan penthouse jealous. We're talking about metal siding that's seen generations of storms meeting transparency that hides nothing. We're talking about contradiction. Beautiful, intentional, breathtaking contradiction, and it works. Oh God, it works. Picture this for a moment. You wake up, not in a bedroom with a single window that frames a carefully curated view. No, you wake up surrounded by nature. 3 walls around you. Sure, giving you shelter, giving you protection. But that 4th wall, it's not there. Not really. Instead, there's glass. Endless, seamless glass that makes the forest or the prairie or the mountain range not something you look at, but something you live inside of. The boundary between inside and outside doesn't just blur, it vanishes. This is what glass front barndominiums understand that traditional homes don't. They understand that we're tired of being separated from the world. We're tired of walls that make us feel safe by making us feel isolated. We want protection, yes. We want shelter, absolutely. But we also want to feel alive. We want to feel connected. We want to wake up and have our first thought be about the sunrise painting the sky, not about what's on our phone. The magic starts with the facade, that front wall of glass. And when I say wall, I mean it's not just a window. It's not just a door with some sidelights. We're talking about glass that runs from the ground floor all the way up to the peak of that barn roof. 20 feet, 25 feet, sometimes 30 feet of uninterrupted transparency. And depending on how the architect plays with it, this glass can be broken up into geometric patterns, black steel frames creating a grid that's both industrial and elegant, or it can be almost entirely frameless, just pure glass held up by engineering that seems like magic. Here's where it gets interesting. That glass isn't just about the view out. It's about the light in. Traditional barndominiums, the ones without these massive glass installations, they can feel dark. All that metal, all that wood, all those enclosed spaces. But the moment you introduce this wall of glass, everything changes. Light doesn't just enter the space. It floods it. It transforms it. It takes those raw materials, that metal and wood and concrete, and it makes them glow. During the day, the interior becomes this living, breathing thing. Shadows move across the floor as the sun tracks across the sky. The wood beams overhead catch the light and turn golden. The metal accents shimmer. Everything that could feel heavy suddenly feels weightless. And at night? At night, it reverses. The glass that brought the outside in now projects the inside out. Your home becomes a lantern. But let's talk about what's really happening here, beneath the aesthetics. Because this isn't just about looking good. This is about challenging every assumption we have about what a home should be. Traditional architecture tells us that homes should be private, enclosed, protected, that our living spaces should be sanctuaries hidden away from the world. And for centuries, that made sense. We needed walls because walls kept us safe from the elements, from predators, from other people. But something shifted. We don't face those same threats anymore. And yet we keep building walls. Higher walls. Thicker walls. Walls that don't protect us from danger. They isolate us from life. The glass front Barndominium says no to that. It says vulnerability can be strength. It says transparency doesn't mean exposure. It means connection. It says you can be safe and open at the same time. Now, I know what you're thinking. But what about privacy? And that's the genius of this design. Because these homes aren't built in subdivisions where your neighbor is 15 feet away. They're built on land. Acres of it. They're built where the only thing looking through that glass is a deer at dawn or an owl at dusk. The privacy doesn't come from walls. It comes from space. From distance. From choosing a different way to live entirely. And the materials themselves tell a story. Let's sit with that for a second. The metal exterior, usually steel, sometimes corrugated, sometimes standing seam. It's not trying to be pretty. It's not trying to impress anyone. It's honest. It's the same material that's been protecting barns and agricultural buildings for over a century. It expands and contracts with the seasons. It weathers. It ages. It gets better with time, not worse. There's a humility to it. If you found this video inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support means to me, and it helps keep the design ideas coming your way. But then you pair that humility with this audacious gesture of glass. Enormous, expensive, technically complex glass. Glass that requires engineering. That requires intention. That requires someone to say, I want to live differently. The juxtaposition is poetry. The barn says, I'm grounded, I'm practical, I'm of the earth. The glass says, I'm ambitious, I'm modern, I'm reaching for something more. Together, they create tension. Beautiful tension. The kind of tension that makes you stop and stare and try to figure out why something moves you even though you can't quite put it into words. Let's talk about the interior for a moment, because that's where this design philosophy really comes alive. You step through those glass doors, and you're in a space that refuses to be categorized. Is it rustic? Yes. Is it modern? Absolutely. Is it industrial? Kind of. Is it warm? Impossibly so. The ceilings soar. We're talking 16, 18, 20 feet of vertical space. And running across those ceilings, supporting that metal roof, are beams. Not delicate little decorative beams. Real beams. Massive timber or steel beams that don't apologize for their presence. They're structural. They're necessary. And they're beautiful because of it, not despite it. The floors might be polished concrete, gray and smooth and reflective, catching that light from the glass wall and bouncing it around the space. Or they might be reclaimed wood, wide planks with knots and nail holes and history built into every inch. Either way, they ground you. They remind you that for all the airiness, for all the light and space, you're still standing on something solid. If you love this type of look, hit that subscribe button to help us create more videos. And let us know in the comments what you'd love to see in future videos. And the walls that do exist, the ones that aren't glass, they're often left raw. Exposed metal panels. Unpainted drywall. Brick if you're lucky. There's no pretense here. No covering things up or hiding the bones of the building. Everything is what it is. And somehow, in that honesty, you find elegance. But here's what really happens in these spaces. Here's the thing nobody tells you. When you live in a glass front barndominium, you stop living on your phone. You stop binge-watching shows to fill the emptiness. Because there's no emptiness. There's a storm rolling in that you can watch from your couch. There's a sunrise that turns your living room pink and gold. There's snow falling that you can see without stepping outside, without even being cold. There's life happening all around you. And suddenly, that's enough. Suddenly, that's everything. You start to notice seasons again. Really notice them. The way the light changes angle in winter. The way spring green is different from summer green. The way autumn light is softer, sadder, more beautiful. You become aware of time passing in a way that city living, that traditional suburban living, never allows. And people change in these spaces. They slow down. They breathe deeper. They talk more. Families gather in the open living areas not because they have to, but because the space pulls them together. That combination of raw materials and natural light and connection to the outdoors, it does something to the human nervous system. It calms us. It grounds us. It reminds us of what we actually need to feel content. Now, there's a practical side to all this that we can't ignore. These homes aren't just beautiful, they're smart. That metal exterior? It's virtually maintenance-free. It doesn't rot. It doesn't fade. It doesn't need to be repainted every 5 years. The glass? Modern options are energy efficient, with low-E coatings and insulation that keeps the heat in during winter and out during summer. They're also faster to build than traditional homes. We're talking months, not years. That metal shell goes up quick. The open interior means less complex framing. And while that glass installation requires precision and expertise, it's still simpler than the elaborate facades of traditional custom homes. And then there's the cost. Now, I'm not going to tell you these are cheap. That much glass, installed correctly, costs money. But compared to custom homes with similar square footage and that wow factor,